Hello everyone, how's it going? I look ratchet, but we're just gonna ignore that. Okay, we're gonna ignore that. I'm sorry for not posting earlier, but as you may or may not know, a war was started by an orange Cheeto named Donald Trump. And the airspaces got closed and I got stuck. My flight was supposed to be on the 1st of March. I did not travel until the 14th. So, I was stuck for 2 weeks. And honestly, during that period, I did not have the energy to do anything but keep up with the news. And I literally could not sit down, write down my thoughts or anything I was thinking or doing. But yeah, it's good now. It wasn't that intense, honestly. I was definitely very safe, but you do get addicted to the news in situations like that. So anyway, welcome back to Muni. Today, I really want to talk about individualism. I decided on this subject because of some of my own life experiences and also some of the things that were happening to me that kind of led me to think a lot about this specific subject. But I feel like issues with individualism are getting so much worse and not getting better, which kind of sucks. If you didn't know, I am Middle Easterner. I grew up in a collective society. Individuals is not something I kind of grew up with. At first, when I was introduced to it, I really, really liked it because obviously, if you didn't know, Middle Eastern societies are kind of collective on steroids. Not really. I think East Asian societies are definitely a bit higher than us, but we're definitely up there, right? But as I grew up and sort of started to interact with individualistic societies and also started to become more individualistic myself and also watch individualism seep into our culture, I realized that it is literally a disease. It's a disease, guys. It's a disease, and I know that sounds very, very dramatic, but it's true. Now, obviously, not everything about individualism is bad, but also not everything about collective societies is good. But I do think that it's important for us to discuss these things so we can reach sort of a balance between the two. I think what mainly inspired me to make this video, other than the things that were happening around me also, was a tweet I saw while doom scrolling the news on Twitter. But it goes as follows. No one owes you anything. Yes, they do. And I owe them too. I've had enough of this capitalist propaganda. We're humans. We live within a society. We should be taking care of each other. And yeah, that's pretty much what I want to say. I think this sums up this video really well, but that's pretty much what I believe and what I want to talk about here a bit more in depth. But I think we often believe that we don't owe people things and people don't owe us things. But that rhetoric is actually extremely harmful to everyone. It leads to isolation and loneliness because individualism, and it turns sort of the nature of relationships and giving and sort of working with people into a bit more something that's a bit more transactional, right? I do something because I want something back. And not to mention, we feel as though we are not entitled to helping anyone but ourselves. Why should I boycott something that isn't my political movement? Why should I do more environmentally friendly practices? I'm not going to be alive when the effects of global warming starts to kick in. Why should I care what happens to immigrants, poor people, women, Middle Easterners? The list can go on forever. But if something does not affect me, then I don't care what happens. And this is extremely problematic because people forget often how interconnected our world is. What you allow to happen to others will eventually catch up with you. Nothing you do exists in a vacuum, and we influence each other's lives every single day. Anything you normalize will happen to you eventually. But individualism sort of teaches you otherwise. I see a lot of people online, especially using therapy speak incorrectly, may I add, in order to push people away as far as possible at the slightest disagreement or inconvenience. As a chronic people pleaser myself, I understand to some degree how important it is to protect your peace and to learn to say no, to learn to put in boundaries for yourself. But often people take it a little too far. Like, no one is willing to be inconvenienced even a little bit for the people around them. If you listen to a friend venting, then that's considered trauma dumping, which, by the way, is not what trauma dumping means, but okay. People seem to not realize that inconvenience is the price of community. I saw this thing once online, though I don't remember specifically who said it. If you know, please let me know down below. But everyone wants a village, but no one wants to be a villager. And basically, that's the core of it all. You have to chip in as much as the other person. You have to be inconvenienced and allow that to create an environment where everyone can rely on one another. But we teach people that we have to protect your peace from the most normal interactions possible, like a friend venting, asking for advice, asking for a favor. Everything starts to feel like a chore, and we tell people no and cut them off at the slightest disapproval, and then we go on our ways. And of course, this leads to isolation. People start getting very lonely, and even when they need help, they feel as though they cannot depend on anyone but themselves, because they don't want to inconvenience someone else. I truly get shocked at how easy it is for people to just cut each other off, because people are often just expecting perfection from others that they themselves are incapable of giving back. Because we are all just extremely flawed human beings. You do owe people things, and you do have to work hard on relationships, and you do have to get upset and inconvenienced sometimes, because that's what it means to have a relationship with other human beings. Now, I wanted to preface this because I do think that some people are gonna be like, but of course, I'm not telling you to tolerate toxic and problematic behavior. That is another thing. But what I'm trying to say is that you shouldn't just cut everyone out of your life the minute that they make a mistake. Everyone makes mistakes. You make mistakes. I make mistakes. And that's just what it means to be a human being. And the price of having a relationship and having a friendship or a community means that we kind of have to put up with that, and we kind of have to allow people to be imperfect, and for us to be imperfect and to coexist with one another, forgiving people for their mistakes and allowing them the spaces to grow and change and become better, and also allowing yourself that space. Because often what I believe is also something, I'm saying this because I'm like this, okay? I think we may be trying to avoid being held accountable and also feeling uncomfortable. And so instead of actually confronting that, we start to distance ourselves. And this was put very beautifully by the Substack article titled, "We Actually Do Owe People an Explanation." Sometimes protecting your peace is just another way of saying, I don't want to be uncomfortable. Sometimes I don't owe anyone anything. It's just I don't want to be accountable for how I affect other people. We've become so focused on guarding ourselves that we have forgotten we're still living among others' hearts. So self-protective that we've started neglecting human decency. And, well, exactly. Sometimes it's harder and scarier and far more uncomfortable to come to terms with how we affect the people around us. So instead, we just cut them off or pretend they don't exist, because it's easier than confronting ourselves. It's easier than changing our behavior. It's the easy way out of any conflict, of anything that makes you even slightly uncomfortable. Mind you, I've said this before, but I understand this very well. My coping mechanism is isolation. I will stop talking to people even if I hurt them a little bit or they hurt me a little bit. I'm just like, I don't want to talk to any other human. And that's so fucking horrible. Like, obviously people are gonna hurt you and you're gonna hurt others, and instead of hiding yourself, you should just work on that behavior and work on conflict resolution and learn to be a better person and allowing that to others. But instead, we're like, no, I'm done. I don't want to talk to anyone. This is something that I really, really want to change about myself, and I'm trying to become better at. So why are we becoming more increasingly individualistic? Well, I believe that there are many different reasons as to why we're becoming more individualistic. One of the main ones, I think, comes from our parents. hear me out. The reason why I started to become more individualistic myself is because I saw how my mother suffered from being in a collective society. How suffocating it is to not have the capacity to say no. If you do, you become a villain that refuses to follow the rules of society. And when we see how the older generation acts, we feel like we should not fall into the same trap. So we start protecting ourselves. But I think we started slightly overcorrecting. Like, yes, protect your peace, but also remember that we are all humans and we all owe each other basic human decency as long as we live in a society. We live in a society, yes, let me. But as long as we live in a society and in fact on Earth, we owe people things, right? Another, I think, main reason why we're becoming more individualistic, and of course, this would not be a video of mine if I did not talk about it. Capitalism. Yes, you guessed it. Individualism is deeply rooted in neoliberalist ideals. In fact, the foundations of neoliberalist capitalism lies on individualism. Don't feel sympathy to homeless people. They're horrible people who do not work hard. But you do. You're so much better than them, and that's why you should not use your money to help your community. You should use it to buy more things. Yes. Oh, your kid is 18 and wants to go to college? Yeah, they're leeching off of you. Stop supporting them financially and let them get into debt at the very ripe age of 18. Why have the whole neighborhood use one lawnmower that they all collectively purchase and use together when each one of them can buy their own individual lawnmower and make us more profit? Essentially, they just want to make more money off of us, right? They create this endless loops of isolation and dissatisfaction and push you services and products in order to help you with it. Like, for example, if you convenience yourself and help your friend move, you won't have to pay for movers. If you give your friends a ride from the airport, they don't have to take a taxi or an Uber. So instead, they push you towards individualism because it's actually far more profitable for these companies and actually so much worse for us because they start profiting off of our loneliness and isolation. I'm sure you have seen online how deeply lonely this new generation is. We don't talk to people, we don't go out with people. And I think the main reason why is because of sort of the individualistic nature of society and the individualistic nature that is being pushed upon us. Now, I'm not telling you guys to become a collective society to a T where we all just do whatever society tells us. Also, I'm not telling you to allow harmful behavior to exist within your life without, calling it out and tolerating it because, hey, that's just what it means. Instead, what I'm trying to say is that we need to realize that we are just humans and we all make mistakes. And the key here isn't just to cut people off immediately, but to try to find a common ground between you and other people and to try to work on our conflict resolution skills and sort of work together as a society and as this new generation in order to create communities that where we feel at home and where we feel like we are accepted for who we are as people. Because like I said, we're all toxic in our own ways. We all make mistakes, and that's just what it means to be a human being. And so it is far better for us to learn to live with that and work with one another than to just accept that we're never gonna change, and the minute anyone inconveniences me, I'm gonna cut them out of my life. The end. I'm over. I'm gonna sit at home. I'd rather be alone, kind of stuff, right? Because that's all going to actually harm us in the long run than it is going to be beneficial for us, right? Anyway, that is all for me today. It is a shorter episode than usual, but like I said, I wasn't in the right headspace for like nearly 2 weeks now. It's day what? It's day 17 or 18. Yeah, day 18 of the war. So like, again, I have not been in the most, intellectual, enlightened headspace. But yeah, eventually I will go back to normal. I promise. But yeah, this was something that was deep, like, on my mind a lot, especially with the war and seeing what's going on. But yeah, that's all for me today. I will see you guys in the next week, hopefully. See you all next time. Bye bye. Oh yeah, I wanted to add, please like and subscribe. It truly helps me. Yeah, I'm trying to hit 100 subscribers by the end of the year. So we're at 24 now. So if you can subscribe, that'd be great. See you all next one. Bye bye. Thank you so much.